Welcome to Radio B2B, the only truly free, unbiased and open internet radio platform for business in Africa.
The SAPEX conference is just around the corner, and we are interviewing a couple of the speakers, the people who've been invited to address the crowds, the throngs in Cape Town between the 4th and 7th of June. I'm very pleased to be joined on the line by Craig Collins. He's the CEO of Cradle Technology Services, and Craig is talking on the fourth industrial revolution, which changes everything, he says. And he asks the question, what can you do to handle the change? Craig, welcome.
Thank you very much.
You've certainly chosen a topic that is bound to interest and possibly scare, and certainly in your praise of what you're going to be talking about, there seems to be a warning which is inherent. But let's start by my asking you, what do you mean by the fourth industrial revolution?
Firstly, I think my interest in the fourth industrial revolution comes from sort of previous interest in some of the technologies that I've spoken about at the conference, things like robotics and artificial intelligence. And the fourth industrial revolution is something that's a phrase that's been coined recently, and it is a coming together of a number of these technologies, what people are calling exponential technologies, and it's really the merging or the convergence of the different technologies at a massive rate in the digital, physical, and biological spheres. So they're terming this the fourth industrial revolution, and some of the World Economic Forum is one of the primary drivers of the terminology that the fourth industrial revolution.
So in your speech, you are going to be addressing, amongst other things, the fact that there is a productivity increase, a price reduction, and an abundance which ordinarily is going to be associated with the fourth industrial revolution. Why do you say that?
Effectively, as the technologies that are being applied in various fields come to bear, what happens is you get an exponential growth in the technology and its application, and the result is massive productivity improvement, specifically in things like manufacturing. Let's take one of the example technologies, 3D printing, for example. You will be able to manufacture almost anything on demand, taking away supply chain costs, taking away the obsolescence of keeping stock right on demand. Now, that will reduce prices in general across virtually the entire manufacturing industry. And we're seeing massive disruption as a result of all of these different technologies. So what happens in the typical deployment of these technologies is what we call a demonetization of the technology and of the industry. So resulting is in massively reduced prices and massive availability, hence abundance. And I've heard say that by 2070, the world will have enough, or if we carry on the productivity increases that we're seeing now at the type of rate that we're seeing, that there will be abundance for everybody on the planet by 2070.
That's the positive, but quite frankly, you're also foretelling what essentially has to be read as the negative, the notion that you're talking about chaos descending after the distribution of abundance has taken place, has manifested. What do you mean by chaos?
Well, actually, it's before the abundance has manifested, because what's happening is we're also seeing, as a result of technology deployment, we're seeing the rich get richer. So effectively, the gap between the haves and the have-nots is growing at a tremendous rate. Because, let's be frank, if you own a business and you can deploy 4 robots for 80,000 Rand and remove 32 people from your production facility, then you, in a capitalist society, you're going to do that. That means that there are 32 people without jobs. And that gap is going to grow, and it's going to grow rapidly as the technology comes of age, and we're seeing exponential change at a technology level. So pretty much any job that can be performed by a person today in the next 10 years will be able to be performed by an automated device, robot, computer, or algorithm. And that means that the owners of the businesses are going to get wealthy, and the general people are going to be without work. So unless we deal with a way to, or unless we find a way to deal with that, we're going to have this chaos where, while there's plenty of stuff for everyone, the people living in Palm Beach in $32 million mansions have got it all, and the person still staying in a shack is going to basically rise up and say, we can't live this way.
But Craig, let's be practical for a moment, it's highly unlikely that one can be foretelling what is upon us, which is essentially the age of technology, the age of the internet, the age of computers, the age of robotics, the age of essentially labor replacement technology. Now, surely, being practical, one cannot assume, one cannot pretend that there is any opportunity to save jobs and that the net effect is not going to be a loss of jobs down the line. Because even though you need people to run these machines and to drive this technology, you don't need them on the same scale that you would need them if they were in fact involved in the manufacturing process itself.
I agree 100%. And in fact, this comes to the core of the message that I'm trying to present at SAFEX, is that we're not going to be able to save jobs. It doesn't matter how we try. The age of the job is going to come to an end. And what I'm saying, and I think this is the essence of what I'm saying, is that we need to change the way we view jobs and employment and society. In fact, instead of calling it unemployment, we actually should be changing the terminology and saying freedom from work. So I'm trying to paint a positive picture of not having a job. And there's a whole raft of things that we need to address to get to that point. But you're right, there's no way we can save jobs. And in fact, we're not actually going to need people to do work at all, because a robot is going to do it better. Right now, an investment banker is outperformed by a computer algorithm, consistently almost all the time. So, one of the highest paid professions in the world is going to lose their job. And we've got to come to terms with that. And certainly we're not going to try and save jobs or create jobs.
All right, so let's move away from trying to solve the political challenges that governments all over the world are currently faced with. This isn't even a futuristic thing. This is a current problem we have all over the world that's just going to get worse. So let's move away from that. That's not our problem. Let's really talk about your industry, which is the supply chain sector. The notion that what you're saying about supply chain is that there are huge impacts are coming, and supply chain practitioners and professionals need to understand those impacts.
That's correct. Just before we do that, if I may, one of the things that I'm talking about in the presentation is that I'm not really focusing on the supply chain industry as such, because that's still short term. What I'm saying is that when supply problems are all solved, when abundance is available, what we've got to do is change the nature of employment. And in fact, there's an organization called the Basic Income Earth Network, which has been around since 1986, in fact, proposing a basic human income to everyone, an unconditional income. Now, one of the reasons why it doesn't work is because they say that people will not want to work. People will become lazy, and the result is that we're not going to have people and an employment pool. But that is in fact exactly what we're after in the Fourth Industrial Revolution. We want people not to want to work. We want people to be able to survive above the poverty level. And if we can find a way to implement something like a basic income, then people can actually focus on things they want to do as opposed to things that they have to do. And they can create businesses. And if we change education along with that, then I believe that we can get to a point where the principle of a basic income, which previously has been poo-pooed because it's going to cause people not to work, actually will work really well in this forthcoming age of abundance. Now, what that means is that we've got access to pretty much any thing or product that we want. It's at literally free. So if you look at services and things that are becoming free today, the same is going to happen with products. And supply chain effectively is your only problem, and that's how to distribute the product to people at the lowest possible cost.
And I hope you understand that this is coming from a place of love, but in reality, Craig, I have to say that sounds like cloud cuckoo land. The reality is that no country in the world can afford the kind of basic income grant for its citizens that they deserve, that they require, and increasingly that they're coming to expect to start off with. Certainly, the opportunity to subsidize products through the manufacturing process, the opportunity is there, but the notion of the human genetic